Okay, my friends, I hope you're doing really great, having a very productive day, right? Okay, awesome. Okay, my friends, so this video is about our documentary because we have two special ones. One until our organization launching day, right? That is one I'm going to talk about now. And the other documentary is the 28 volunteer Royal Weeks. Okay, so let's focus on this first documentary. Okay, it's Our Humanity Until Our Organization Launching Day. Okay, so we have two aspects of everything. Everything. Gonna be a real big documentary, maybe 8 hours or so, I don't know yet. But if we are really good, I think in about 8, maybe even 10 hours. But we need to do, have a good retrospective of everything. So, first, we are going to say everything that's negative, like the worst practices and wars and negative production of negative items and so on. On the other side, we are going to list everything that's really positive that was done until the moment, such as great technology and many good things happen. Technology, for example, help people to know faster about negative or positive things, but it helps for our humanity to be better as well. Okay? So they're just two very simple examples. Okay, so for everything we know from all areas that there is, they have to fit on our 10 departments. So we can have this documentary very well organized. Okay? So I'm going to say a few words and just for you to have an idea. And the team that will be doing this documentary will just add up all the items. Okay, so let's say a few words about Department 1. Department 1 are, for negative, will be the most unsustainable things we have in our planet, such as family cars, for example. And then we can say, for example, as the negative religions that there is that make people really believe in bad things or give a lot of money and other things, or voodoo, macumba, negative hypnotism, and things like that. So items related to being sustainable, positive, but also contact with nature and spiritual practice. All right, for the positive, on the same item here, right, for the Department 1. We would say, for example, some types of subways, some types of trains that goes long distance, right? Of course, today we know, and we're not talking about our program yet. We're just talking about what there is in the planet. And positive spiritual practices such as cure. Okay, so now for the Department 2, United Families. So the most negative will be for people that got into extremes, like living alone, clothes, right? Very negative clothes or disrespectful clothes, or so much makeup we can't even see who is who, or a lot of plastic nails, things like that. And also for negative, families that are not united, even teenagers living by themselves, they work, they pay their bills, they don't even talk to their parents, and things like that. On the positive side, we're going to say which the countries that got most families united, people married in a reasonable time, okay? And details like that. Also for families, like we can say about still in family. So the worst one will be like for fast food and people not preparing food, and for positive, countries that do prepare food, right? They still cook and things like that. For the Department 3, of social assistance, the worst will be these families that we're talking about, refugees from slums, from people without food, without water. So all those groups living together. Nomads walking in deserts, looking for food and moving around, right? Indigenous people that also they're very sustainable, but they lack of information, knowledge. And the most positive, let's see which one up to the moment, okay? That there are people already doing. And also, so we have to check what are the best practices. People helping each other, right? How much better they got in some countries, in some types of living. How many people donate to others. And, we're going to do that. For every country being negative and being positive, we are going to say the 5 worst and the 5 best for all of them, okay? 5 I think is reasonable, not too little, not too many, just for us to have an idea. So let's say a few words now about department number 4, because I changed. So now the department 4 is the community garden and agroforestry. So the worst would be so many different synthetic pesticide, right? Herbicides, the non-GMO, the pollution, right, in rivers and oceans, and hurting people as well. And the worst countries, like here in South Florida, they use a lot of Roundup. This part I know. And for some countries and states, they use a lot of synthetic herbicides and pesticides for their farms. And also the worst is the lack of connection with nature, the lack of connection food that many children, even teenagers, young adults, they don't even know proper names. They're just restrict to the basic. Okay, they don't know about the nutrients of the plants, and they don't know how important it is to have biodiversity. They believe that's rather it's more important and to have food at the supermarket than plant and work for their own food. They don't even try planting and things like that. For the most positive would be for families, for countries or states that do plant, have community gardens. So let's see. And of course, all these countries will be according to the number of inhabitants, right? The population they have. But what would be? Which countries are planting the most organic gardens, organic food, their own food, right? Which countries? Which government are promoting those residents to plant organic gardens and which ones don't? And also, which places have created such a good environment, a great biodiversity because of humans' action, planting those gardens. Not from regular rainforests, for example, okay, but made by humans, planting their own regular food, natives, and some adaptives and things like that. Okay, the department number 5 is United Countries, okay? So we will be talking about the negative, right? The most negative will be like for electricity, for example, that some cross states and states to reach someone else. We can talk about atomic bomb, right? And reactors. And then the fight for land, for property lines, right? That countries and cultures fight, and then for different reasons, promoting people to flee, right, of their own countries and turning into refugees in another country. So all those things related to countries that people do not respect, don't even try. They just want more land, more land, more land. That's not good. And here we have also some examples of very negative practice, such as Queen Elizabeth, that is the state leader of 15 different nations. And we also have Lesotho, for example. That's a country in the middle of South Africa that make no sense, and that goes, right? So I'm just giving a very few examples here. For the positive one is we are going to list which countries are the most sustainable, which countries have the least crimes, right, in different levels, different types. So that would be the most positive ones. Also the ones that got closer, for everything that's positive, the ones that got closer to our proposal, to our work. So, for example, we know some leaders in some countries. I heard before, don't remember the name of the country, but they already were going to work on urban buses. People that did not need a whole bunch of security. Government that did not have so many staff members, or they were honest, no corruption. So things like that, okay? Those are basically some items. And still for the Department 5, countries that got more land by fighting, because we know some countries got more land because they paid some money, right? But some was for fighting, and this in recent centuries. I'm not talking about discovery, 500 years ago. Okay, and then we're also going to list the fights they have, civil wars, and children with rifles and different types of guns on their hands and things like that. We can also put the slums. That's a big situation, even that we already mentioned then on the Department 3, but just say a few words here. And some countries that are good, sustainable, organized, right? And the difference, social difference, we also can put that the worst countries that have so many rich and so many real poor people. So we can go around those facts, and for every fact, mention 5 words, not for every fact, but for the ones that are considerable, okay? All right. United countries, also for countries that help someone else, for example, for natural disasters, right, that receive them or send things to them, or organizations and things like that. For the Department of Construction, we can say again, right, a few words about family housing. So how bad would be, we focus on the housing, like some slums, how our humanity let it stays in a situation that's so bad, in such a poor situation of living, without sanitation, without any basic infrastructure. We can also say for the most effective, most durable, so these items will be something like that for the positive, of course, right? Which countries are building the most durable, most sustainable, the least waste when they build, and the strongest, and things like that. And on a positive, we can also say which countries are having the most sustainable building, okay, with materials, most natural, but that's also durable and, according to our work or, what people are already doing those things. And for construction, we can also include, for example, countries that have the least and the best water efficient items for sale or not for sale, installed on homes, and also for those that give a lot of value to carpeting, for example, because some countries it's not a common thing to have carpet, right? But to compare both and other items like that. Okay, for health, Department 7, the worst would be all this, very lots of sick people. ADD, ADHD, cholesterol, diabetes, depression, Alzheimer, autism, dementia of different levels, heart disease, and so many others. Okay, and of course we have to say, right, a few words about white sugar and fast food and things like that. And on a positive, which countries are being the healthiest one? That eat healthy and work out, or they spend their calories by working, because that's also good. Okay, so which countries are the best with health and nutrition? So we will also mention which ones visit the doctor, which ones don't go at all, which ones try to have treatment, synthetic or natural, which ones look for natural doctors, because some countries, for example, here in Florida, we have a regular pharmacy for synthetic medicine all over. It's every other block we have one. Some places a little more sparse, but it's so many, it's unbelievable how many we have here. And in some countries like Brazil, we have so many natural pharmacies. They sell these things based in roots, homeopathy, Ayurveda, and things like that. And some countries that already is part of their history, right, on things they made, such as India and others. For Department 7, we also can say the countries that breastfeed the most, because that's a huge impact on a person's life, and generations of screen time, right? Cell phones, video games, iPads, iPods, and everything else. And then we can also say about school nutrition, the best and the worst. Right? For example, here in Florida, they have literally a lot of fast food here, lots of sugar, and they even sell things with hydrogenated fat and so on. And in some other countries, which country is doing the best? I know that here also some states, they plant food to be offered at the cafeteria, but it's not too many. So, but let's search up and figure that out. So we have good information to offer people. I think, instead of 5 countries, I think we can do the 4. 4 worst and 4 the best, right? It's a better number, okay? For health, we can also say which country eat the best, right? I think eat the best we can also put on the Department 4. You see, when you're doing, you see where would fit better. Because some of them might be good for one or another because they're related, such as food. Okay, so about the Department 8, that's education, we can say that the worst, for example, will be parents and even some preschools trying to teach infants and 2 years old, 1 year old and 2 years old, basics on literacy, right? Some ABCs and color, and start already to push them, and some even showing them the letters. Some babies, infants don't even know how to crawl. They're learning these things for no reason. For negative things, people that do not even go to school, such as in some third world countries, it's too far away, or they have to get a canoe to go to school in rural areas, and some don't have a school at all, or some they have to work to help the family, or some countries in Africa they carry water, right? The girls carry water, they don't have time to go to school. Some countries, that's also negative, women do not go to school, and like that goes. All right? And the most positive would be, I would say, the world of education, right? So we can really search up what the world of inspired schools are doing, if they're doing better than Waldorf or not, because some, they say, and they even have license being a Waldorf school, but they play with glitter and some plastic crafts, a lot actually of plastic crafts. So we have to see and search it up. So which ones are being the most sustainable? The regular Waldorf or the Waldorf inspired schools? And for the education to be the most negative would be a generation of online learning, right? That many don't even need to go to school, some because of COVID, but some is not. They could stay at home. And a lot of homeschooling without proper supervision, without attending any other group for the children to have some social life. So there's a lot. So we have to search up which count is the worst, because they do not have a school, or because the parents don't want to bother, right? And these children are at home. Sometimes some parents try and bring to places for the child to have a social opportunity, right? Have some activities. They share classes with other parents to teaching one thing or another, but some, they don't care. The children stay at home watching TV, and the government don't have records of that. The other very bad things are people that are doing university online or not, but they pay others to do their assignments. So that's one of the worst as well. And people still getting their diplomas and they didn't even study. The other very negative point would be for schools that pressure students. They teach more and to say, oh, but here the first grade is already doing that, second grade is already learning this, and so on. And they compete among themselves with parents from same neighborhoods, right, or friends, that talk to each other. Oh, I'm going to put my kid in that school or this school because they learn more, and they're already learning that, and this school they still learning this. So this competition and this race for learning, how negative, big impact on the children that suffer afterwards with many things like ADD, ADHD, and depression, because so much pressure. The other very negative thing is no recess. That's a very big problem. Like here in Florida, they don't have recess for middle and high school. But it's important for older children and teens also to have their time and have fun and talk, communicate. It's very, very important. So here in Florida, I don't know the other states, but they took out the recess and put PE, and students do not have to do PE every year. That's another big problem, because that's essential. PE, it's really, really essential. So the children got no recess, no social time during school. Schools are really long, right? So for example, my son, he leaves 8:30, he leaves the house. He comes almost at 5, the bus pickup, drop off, but without a recess. The other problem is the quality of PE classes. That is really, really low, at least here in Florida, for what I'm seeing. So we have to make a study how the other countries are doing that. In private and public schools, for us to have an idea. So we can, for some items, we can do for worst, for best, for worst, for best in different items. So the quality of PE, there are many, many students sitting on the floor, and they're just registered, but they can sit, they can say, I have a headache, I'm not feeling well, I have cramps, I'm tired, I didn't sleep, and they can just sit there. And the other thing is that many are not having proper grade for PE on their participation. If they have uniform, okay, they got a point. If they don't, they don't. But that's not right. What we have to count for PE, it's everything, working out, running. They need all different types to develop different muscles, different capacities, right? For breathing, for everything, right? So the PE was one of the worst. And the computer, also, that it's very negative because it substitutes the teachers really, really a lot along the years, right? Where, for example, some places I went to teach, a substitute teacher, and we didn't have even one contact with the students, like sit together, let's talk about this. And they were really little, maybe first grade or so, first or second grade, don't remember. But it's very important for students to see their children, to have eye contact, to express themselves, to talk about, and not just having students on computers, right? So I also saw students, late elementary, such as 4th, 5th grade, that wrote about 4 or 5 pages of an essay, but without any structure. Many misspelling words, and not even proper paragraphs, not uppercase, not proper comma or period, not proper sentences, or too long of sentence, and they keep talking. So we have to, all these basic items we can do. And far as I know, the most positive on academics, the most successful are the Waldorf schools that I've seen, because the children are happy. If they're in kindergarten, middle school, high school, any grade, they are happy. They like their school. They are not pressured. I haven't seen, Waldorf students that are too shy or depressed. I haven't seen. It might be there, but on average, they're really doing great. They also work for the students to develop different capacities. So they have what they have handwork, they have music, they have clay modeling, they also have the outside games for PE. So they have beautiful notebooks that inspire them to like the subject. They don't change subjects every day. They focus 3 or even 4 weeks on the same subject. Sometimes 2, but mostly it's about 3 weeks. So they got the most points, far as I know. And also their value to nature, the festivals they do, the 4 festivals a year, with songs, presentation. They also become friends with each other, some of them even for many, many years or even for life, because they're together, doing things together, and they also do nice field trips, right? And again, I say they do not pressure students. The students can communicate, express themselves. They do many performances, so they want to become shy teens and adults in life. They have the opportunity to search up and study so many different things, right, of different classes along the years. And that's a real gift. They have labs for chemistry, for physics, and have hands-on activity as well. So I think they're the real best. Now let me say a few words about nature-based program. So I haven't been able to search up lately on that, but I've seen, for example, programs that they bring preschoolers, or even preschoolers that I saw bring outside the whole day. That's also not sustainable, because that's too much. That's also not the best. We need, for example, for Waldorf preschool, they stay about 1 whole hour playing inside, 1 whole hour playing outside, and coordinated activities along the classes. So this gives a child moment to focus and concentrate, right? And moments to expand and run and plant and water the plants and play outside, and and then they have again this moment of focus and work with memory, with concentration. So they get the most points. And while the nature-based, not just one program that I saw, but they still trying to keep the children, even with cold weather, outside, and that's not good. We also need some quiet of the inside classrooms, right? And build things and sew, and not only create things with twigs and nature items, which are great, but it's good to balance out. Okay, so for the department 9, that now I change a little bit, so now it's patrimony and treasury. So we can say some words about families and some words about the countries. Okay, so for families, which countries people own their own homes, and in which countries the government have a sustainable amount of buildings, not too little, not too much, but just good, and things like that. For treasury, we can also talk about families and about countries. I think, if Andrew has a bad idea, he can improve that, but for now, just the basics. Okay, Andrew? All right, so for treasury, will be some words about family, how stable they are financially, or if they own too much, like United States, and then they have bankruptcy. That's not good. And the most sustainable is for people to spend what they have and not to spend more of what they have. And for countries as well, which countries use their money accordingly. They as the money comes in, they spend without corruption, without in a sustainable way. All right. So let's say a few words, and which ones doesn't, right? For negative, for positive. Now let's say a few words about Department 10. That's technology and security. Okay, so in technology, we are going to focus in families again and countries. I think that's a good way for us, because otherwise we have to change the main structure that's to follow the departments. But let's use what we already started. So for technology, we are going to say about families. So which countries are good with the basics, such as use of cell phone and computers? Okay, so we can say a few words about the families. The worst countries that people have completely no idea about the information of their own country, information about the planet or everything else, and the countries that are the best. But for positive, we are not putting people that stay hours and that's the only thing they do, okay? So for everything, we're already going to list the items as the being sustainable. Being sustainable means not too little and not too much. So all the second column here of positive items gonna have the most sustainable, the most positive. For countries, the same way. The countries that invest in basic technology, the countries that do not or do not even have much. The worst, like using technology for negative things. So, and how the government of some countries manipulate their citizens. That's very negative. So how they do it with the programs that they offer. For example, in some countries, they say, here in the United States, for example, they have this program of laughing of people get hurt, laughing off stupid things. All these things are very negative. They're not positive because people keep watching those things and don't raise their standards for anything. So those are very negative. The other negative things like programs on TV that, the actors and movies as well, but mostly for programs that the government let them watch and that they don't take proper action to raise their standards. They stay in a very low level, such as fighting, killing, such as gossiping, and all these things are really not good for people. And some government let them do it. And we can also say some words about the government leaders. Which countries are the worst with dictatorship? I'm sorry, the word is dictatorship. And which countries has been good with democracy, voting and having the votes honestly done and things like that. For security, I think we can also do both ways, families and countries, right? So for families, which families are secure inside themselves? They feel stable, they have peace, because that's the highest level of security, right? And which countries do not have that? Which families, do not have that? For countries, in the same way, which countries have all this armament and go to wars and fight and, even that they think sometimes they're helping other countries, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just make it worse, right? And which countries promote peace to others, like helping others, as I said before. Okay, so here's a basic information, basic idea, and every subject, being the worst and the best, we're going to align and add to those departments. Okay, so and then when you're doing the documentary, you're going to see, according to what is found, where it fits the best. For example, the health and nutrition, right? That can be Department 7 or Department 4. So where that item will be the most appropriate to fit those things. All right. So the other thing, this is very important. And I also forgot about junkyards, right? That's a real big impact. And artificial medicine that hurt livers and other organs, and how people are addicted to it. So we're also gonna say about how people get addictive to this medicine, even for cough, for every tiny thing, headache and crumbs and everything they have, they go and get synthetic drugs. That's very harmful with them. And some people even have 2, 4, 5 in a constant base. One thing is to have sometimes, for example, an antibiotic for dentists or something that's needed. Okay, but the other thing is to have in a constant base, daily, even daily. And how some civilizations are addictive to it, and some others really focus on herbal medicine and healthy eating, and they're much healthier. Okay, and the other thing is consumerism and landfills. So some countries, like United States, is way too bad. From cell phones and computers on the trash and clothes and furniture, it's just go on the street and they dump it out. People don't care about the environment. They don't care about nature. They just keep purchasing and throwing away and purchase and disposables, right? And the government also don't regulate, don't make a break. Some states like California, it's pretty good, right, compared to others. But still, we have to forbid plastic bags and take action for this to be better. And which countries are the most sustainable? With the least landfills or burning what they have or how they do it. And also for the countries that are the dirtiest, without sanitation, without care, even that they could make it better, right? Call the population to do things, and which countries are the best? The best in sanitation, the best on clean environment. Are the assistants, right? Doing research and collecting data and so on. Because a lot that's right there on the internet is not really true, we know that. So we need people that have proper study in each area for them to get information and see where that information it's coming from. A lot is also paid, right? They make a research and they prove what they want, right? So in many areas. So that's really bad. Now let me say a few words that I forgot before. So about food, still I can say a few more words. For example, processed food, like United States, for example, that's so much ready food and food in cans and real processed food with many ingredients. And other countries that did not have this before, they're starting to have, and the government is letting them do it, the companies, and they're not caring. Also about the type of ingredients that government of different places let people have, such as hydrogenated fat, artificial coloring, hormones that's for sale, and also for drugs such as marijuana that people can have here in Florida all over. So they say that's medical marijuana, but we know that's not. Because they say people with pain, in a condition that they have pain, they can have marijuana. But people can lie, and that's what they do. Instead of eating food, instead of having positive practices, people still use marijuana and other drugs, and it's addictive and many people go to other drugs, worse drugs, right? And about other addictive items, such as nicotine, tobacco, alcohol, and there goes. So the worst countries that sells the most and people for the intake and have crimes and things, problems, so many problems, right? From those consumption of those items. But also, on the other hand, countries that do not allow sales of alcoholic drinks, for example, and do not have marijuana as a medical card, for example, for pain. So, they try to block negative things. So which countries are best and which countries are the worst in all these areas. So opioids of all types and also synthetic drugs, okay, and all the others. The other thing is for countries that try to take care of the environment. They plant trees in one way or another. They have more groups of people taking care. They somehow try. The rules of the country are better against artificial pesticides, artificial herbicides, and which countries have no regulations. People buy and use and hurt the farmers and a lot. Okay, so this is another thing. The other thing I forgot for health is the well-being. Which nations are the ones that are the worst, with a lot of depression and suicide and things like that? And which nations or type of culture? Because some we can say as a part of citizens of that country, right? But for some it's type of a culture, right? Which one are the happiest? With or without money? Which ones are the most communicative? Things that are important for life, okay? Because this is also part of health, or we can put a part of family. So the simple information that we can search up and get the result. Okay, let me be clear about the farmers that use synthetic pesticides. And does not hurt the farmers. It hurt the farm workers, right? And some countries have no regulations or proper regulation, or they have the regulation but they don't inspect enough. They don't check. They don't control it properly. Okay, so now I'm going to say a few words on how we will do this documentary. Okay, so it's very important for us to know the difference between a paid research, right, and a real research. Because some universities, and mostly related to medical, synthetic medicine, it's a big problem right there. The other thing is for us to see what's opinion, because people also put on their research what they want to, according to their opinion that's already made. So, for example, some people make and believe others, including teachers, that make students, university students, to believe that synthetic medicine is the right one, the only way. Others believe that natural medicine is the right one and make their students really believe on that. What happens is that we know that the real best is for people to eat healthy, work out, and eat natural food without pesticides, herbicides, right? White sugar, and of course without synthetic medicine that hurts the liver or fix one thing and hurt another, okay? Have side effects and make people addictive, of course it's not the right one. Okay, so for everything else, that's just an example about medicine, right? Synthetic and natural medicine. But we have people with formed opinion for everything. So we have to see what we will really put on those two lists, right? According to what we believe is the best in general, not go to people's opinion. Because some doctors, for example, and some nutritionists, they have this degree and that and this and that, and they still saying bad things and make people believe because the degree they have. And that is not right. And that's not right. So I said degree means the diplomas, right? They say they're doctors. They have another doctorate on the top of it, and they are teach on this or that university. So they're famous, let's say. And they make people believe that, for example, the product they're selling is good or the research they made is good, but in reality they're not good, not right, not positive for anyone. So we have to make a very good research and with good minded people, right? Students and university teachers, of course, yes, we can have them, but we need to get all this information. And of course, with our point of view that we support the information, the countries that do focus on natural food and workout and natural practices without synthetic medicine the best as possible. Okay? All right. So this way we will have a real honest and positive documentary. So for everything, for all these departments, you already go ahead and say a few words. So for example, they got really close to a sustainable practice in one of the departments, and then you're going to say, because for example, some countries, they have some communities of some countries in Europe, they have food gardens all over and they share among the neighbors, really nice. Okay, so we will say this community is the best, and look, it's almost is the closest to our work. And we talk about health, for example, that for us to focus in good nutrition, right, and workout, and we are going to say, and they got so close, this is the closest country for this practice or that practice. I think that will be good because then we will make this a step to give information on our objectives. Okay? All right. So here it is, our documentary that will be called Our Humanity Until Our Organization Launching Day. And then we can put /2022, for example, and then we see how we are going to do that. But for now, I think it's a good title, okay? All right, my friends, thank you so much. And for professors, for students of all levels that know something that's very important, for them to make for them to present their work to their teachers, for example. So every university will be talking to each other, right? Because the people that will be in charge of this documentary need many teachers of different universities to work together, be part of this, okay? And at the end, we're just going to say the thank you words. So we appreciate the participation of everyone that helped to make this documentary possible. Because if we list one and then we don't list the other, and then one country is in there many times, the other is not even listed, I don't think that is right or positive. So I think the most sustainable, the most positive, will be just appreciation, right? And also don't say the headquarters name, because I'm just listing these very few items in these minutes that I'm talking to you. I'm not really sitting the whole day and get all the points. So the headquarters also won't have their names for this documentary. Everyone will be working the best as possible to make this happen. Even Andrew, right? And so our work, it's to share. The main objective is for us to share, for people to have information and an idea on those items. And many important subjects I did not say, but I'm not going to stay more time. my main objective is just for the people that will be making this documentary to see how we want to do it. We also want images. They're very important for us to have images, okay, real images, some pictures, short videos, for people to see how those things were done. So for people that have videos edited on YouTube or other places, we are going to get authorization, a paper, but their name are not going to be here, okay? Because I think that is good, right? We ask authorization, can we use your video because that's closest to the one we got, or you have very good images for this or for that, okay? And all the other items you can add, air quality, water quality, and all these things also will be added on. We will also talk about the number of countries we have, how many countries were still not independent, so we're going to say a few words about that, and which continents are the most sustainable, right, with the division of the countries, and which I believe, it's Africa, because we don't have any huge country there like we have in, North America and in Asia, right? Okay, we will also say some words about kidnapping and human trafficking and animals. So the worst will be for people that spend millions of dollars for animals that were extinct for natural causes. So it was nature already telling that those animals do not need to continue on Earth. And on the other side, right, people that don't even have food and water. So those items we will also include. Okay, I have an improvement that's for the Department 9, will be called Documentary and Treasury. But for the information for this department, what I said was right. We're going to have items related to family and countries, for the patrimony they have, the things they have. And for treasury, we're also going to say items for families and items for country, right? Which one do in a sustainable way and so on, because that's the best we can do for this department. And the Department 10 gonna stay the same way. Items for family, technology, right? Family and country. Items for security in the same way, families and country. We focus on the internal security, right? Rather than exterior with guns and all those things that I already said. And also, of course, focusing in security with that is sustainable. So how some countries live peacefully, we don't have so many big problems. And some countries have really a lot of problems, even in small cities. Compare small cities to small cities, big cities to big cities. So we have to say a few items about that. So here's an improvement for what I said before, just for example, for marijuana, right? Medical marijuana, for people that have pain, that doctors can, the patient comes, say, and they get a medical card to purchase marijuana. What happens is marijuana go to people that have no cards, like many teens and adults that I don't know how they do it, but they get from friends, I guess. And also, many people, it's wrong anyways, because people that have pain, they have to see why they're having pain. They have to eat healthier, they have to work out, they have to run, they have to stop stress, they need stress management, and so on. So it's wrong, all the ways wrong. And make people addictive, and they can use worse drugs afterwards, right? They start with marijuana, this, and then get worse. and also give mental problems. People slow down mentally a lot. So for all these reasons, we have to list the countries that let people have synthetic and natural drugs, because it is a drug and it's bad and it's harmful. Another thing is that for countries that are the worst in consumerism, and the worst in landfills, and the other thing is for families as well. People that value expensive items, which are the worst countries, for clothing, shoes, and things like that. And other countries that live in a more sustainable way, they do not value those things. Or communities, the ones that will be hard, they have extremes, will be too hard, the items, to be listed as a country, we can also list as community. This is the best community and this is the worst community, we can do that, okay? Or cities. For example, for traffic, right? So we have cities that many people use bikes instead of family cars. So those items like that we can list for cities or country, whichever is better. The only thing is that if you list the worst for a city, it needs to be the best for a city. If you list the worst for a country, then you list the best for the country, right? So we have consistency on information given. And for animal agriculture, we also going to list the worst countries to treat bad the animals, but also treating bad the people that handle animal products, for example, right? Leather that is treated in third world countries with very bad chemicals, and not even giving information and training. People have no idea on the chemicals they are handling for treatment of this leather. And also for malpractices, right? That how bad it got for people to treat animals without any kindness. Okay, and then we talk about animal, right? But we also have to talk about human care. So the worst and the best countries that have human care. So, for example, some countries, like in Brazil, we have hospital to treat the population for free many years, and is based on natural medicine. Okay, so this is really good. And some countries on the other side do not offer free healthcare, and for sure do not offer free natural care. Okay, so we're going to see which countries are the best offering free care, because some people get sick, it happens, right? But with natural medicine, and which countries are the real best on that. Which countries are the worst with mental and emotional pressure, and the countries, the best countries that promote good activities, good practice. For example, some countries, they have what? Free Tai Chi in the fields outside, in parks, so it's good practices. As soon as it's not religious, right? We're talking about government right now, okay? All right, so for people to have a better life quality. And some other countries might have promote other activities, but we have to see which one is the best at offering one of those things that are really positive. For our research, for this document to be really good, so just improvement for what I said before, it's for professors and students that do have very good information on the worst or the best, for them to present their work. Who they're going to present to? to the university, or professors to the students, students to the professors, and the classmates, right? And for people to share, and each university gonna know the real best, for example, right? And when we have our listed items, all items listed for this documentary, and then universities can say, look, I can add this, I can add that. So, we have some few days, right, for people to check as soon as we place the items, okay, for this team that will be making this documentary. A few people. So that is reasonable, okay? And then people can add. Let's say 2 or 4 days we will give for all these universities to add what they already have. Because they also, everyone can already do their research in different areas and then compare if it's something missing that's important, relevant, right? And then they can send a proposal to us. All right, that's great. And the team that will be doing that is called Headquarters Assistant Team, because we will be doing, the headquarters, right? But with this team, the Headquarters Assistant Team. Oh, wow, will be really great. Okay, and I have one more example, because I gave one of the examples for health, right? That some countries don't even offer free health care, right? Or not even natural medicine healthcare system. They don't have that. And in some countries they do. They offer for free and they offer being natural. Okay, so I have one more example here. That is for government leaders that go to work in buses. That I found was the most sustainable, right, for countries. But also already compared to our proposal that is to walk to go to work, right? Okay, the other thing that we can put for examples, like when I said the dirtiest countries, right, for trash, for lack of sanitation, and also the best. So for the best, people that really clean, have beaches, rivers, without trash, they really take care. Because some people really have clean cities, okay? So that's another example. We can write it down and have it our documentary. And detail about that we can also write about the government, which ones have proper income, good administration with their money income received. So for the countries that have a lot but use in bad places, and countries that even don't have too much, for example, but they use wisely without corruption. And the countries with most extremes, for the richest and the poorest in the same city, for example. Cities, I think, is better compared to other cities instead of whole countries, because many countries have big diversity. Okay, so I have an improvement here for the documentaries. Don't have anything related to the organization, because that's the right way. So we will be having only 2 lists, the worst and the best. For countries and for countries, or for communities, for cities, okay? Because that is this way our document will be more precise and more organized. So we're not doing any comparison to our organization practices. That will be afterwards, okay? So we'll be clear and neat and compare things accordingly, and everything, as I said, will be placed in one of those departments. They need to fit in, okay? All right. Okay, so now let's say a few words about presenting all those subjects according to the grade they are. All right, so for these first 2 years, so 2022 and 2023, everyone will be watching, okay, according to their age. Start on second grade, because it's important. Some second grade nowadays, my friends, they play with gun all day. They play fighting. So for now, we need to start with everyone on attending second grade. If it's needed, no, it's not needed. For little ones, we're not doing. So second grade and up for these 2 years with testing. So they really will be aware of information according to their age. Okay, so after these 2 years, we will be only having the information and test about every 4 years on this schedule. I will let you know right now. Okay, a little improvement. For this documentary, we are only going to have tests for 2 years because our main focus is on the documentary 28 weeks, okay? All right, so the testing for these 2 first years will be an online test, supervised online test without checking, okay? All right, and the way we're gonna test will be the same as for the 28 volunteer weeks. So they have 1 hour documentary and 1 hour test for elementary. For middle school will be 2 hours documentary, 2 hours test. For high school, 12th grade, right, will be 2 hours, 12th grade and above. 2 hours documentary, 2 hours test. And then for the university students, everyone 20 to 80 years old, will be 8 hours documentary and 4-hour test. So we will be having a documentary of 8 hours. That's decided. Not 6, not 4, will be 8 because there's a lot of information that's really needed. Okay? I think that's reasonable. So everyone will follow these first practices that we already talked. So first, they watch the documentary. Second, they have a circle talk outside. They sit down outside, they talk about for 1 hour. And then number 3, the students present the departments. So that is a 2-hour presentation and can be divided into different days. Divide the minutes for these 2 hours. So the number 4 is the online supervised test without checking. Okay? All right. And we are going to do this year, 2022 and 2023 only, and stop right there. I have an improvement. So for high school, they will have 4 hours of documentary because they can learn almost everything, right? And then 4 hours of testing. I think that's good for them. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for preparing, organizing, and have this documentary ready. And I really appreciate, so thank you, headquarters, assistant team, for our documentary, Our Humanity Until Our Organization launching day. Okay, talk to you soon. Thank you.